Hi friends, we welcome you to the second video of 8051 microcontroller series. In the last video, we have seen with the definition of microcontroller and the difference between microcontroller and microprocessor. Today, we are going to continue with the next topic, that is 8051 block diagram and the salient features of it. This video is being presented by the RLC. Okay, without wasting our time, let's begin the topic. The important block of the 8051 microcontroller, that is arithmetic and logic unit. What are the calculations which has to be performed in the microcontroller? For example, the arithmetic for calculations such as addition, subtraction, then multiplication and division. These are all performed in the ALU, same as the logical operations like AND, OR, XOR, etc. Not. Okay, these are all the operations which will be performed in this arithmetic and logic unit block. This is the important block in the 8051 microcontroller because this is the one where all the arithmetical calculations and logical operations are going to be taken place. When we want to add some two numbers, say for example, if I want to add 0, 1 and 1, 0, okay, we can see over here we require the data. Okay, this data has to be provided through some register. These registers are provided with the help of accumulator. We have an accumulator which has been connected to the arithmetic and logic unit, which helps in all arithmetical functions and logical functions. Along with this accumulator, we can see there's a B register here. We have a B register which also helps to perform few arithmetical operations. Say like for multiplication and division, we may need to store more number of data, more than 8 bit of data. So ALU uses B register with it, and it's also connected to that. Now we can see the data which can be stored in the accumulator and B register, and also the arithmetic ALU unit, the unit which we have been speaking, that is ALU unit. This can handle 8-bit data. It can handle 8-bit data. That means 8-bit data means 1 byte of data. 1 byte of data can be handled with the arithmetic and logic unit, and also the A register can save 8-bit of data and B register can save 8-bit of data. These registers will help in the arithmetic and logic functions of the ALU. Next, whenever we perform, say for example, I'll take two 8-bit data. Okay. Say for example 100, then 1000, then 1000, 1111, something like this. Now if I perform the addition operation on this, I'm going to get the result in such a way that 1110 with an carry of 1. So here 100, then carry of 1. Here it is 0. Now we can see the result is more than 8 bits. Here it is a 8-bit data, okay, and here it's an 8-bit data, but the result we got is 9 bits while doing addition itself. This extra bit we are going to call it as this is the carry. This is going to be carry. So to identify whether there's a carry is being generated or else any other auxiliary carry is being generated, that means after 4-bit, if there is any carry is being generated over here, this we call it as the auxiliary carry. We'll go through the details of it while going through the instruction sets. Okay, so these are all auxiliary carry, then how many bits of ones are present in the A register, all those things. These are all going to be reflected in the program status word register. Okay, this program status word register is directly connected to the arithmetical logic unit. That means whenever the carry is being generated, auxiliary carry is being generated, those are all going to be reflected in the program status word. Now, in the A register, if there is how many number of one is been available in the A register. Those are all can be identified with the parity bit which has been present in the PSW register. So A and B register also been connected to the program status word. Now we are not going to have only A and B register. It is not possible to do all the operations by using only A and B register. We require to store some data while doing calculations. Say when we are doing some calculations, we need to store the result in some other place and we need to fetch the same thing for the next operation. So for all these things, we require a memory location. That memory location, we are going to call it as an RAM. We are going to call that memory location as RAM. Okay. We have an SFR. We'll go through this in details while going through the memory part in the next video. That is special function register. This RAM is a random access memory. It is like a set of memory locations where we can store the data and we can retrieve it. So whenever we do some operations like addition, subtraction or multiplication, the results can be stored in those locations and it can be used to fetch later. Say for example, if I am going to do a temperature sensor project, something like that, okay, it needs to sense the data of temperature. The data of temperature has to be stored at some location to access it to the later point, means then I can use this RAM location. So this RAM will be connected to this hill. This is what. Until now, we have been saying like the data are being stored in the RAM and ALU operations are going to be performed. A and B registers are going to help in arithmetic and logic unit operations. Okay. But what operation has to be done? It has to be intimated to the microcontroller. Okay. So the set of instructions, what has to be performed? Like you need to move the data from this location to this location, or you need to add the data between these two values. These are all the instructions which has to be provided to the ALU. These instructions which we need to inform the microcontroller to perform, these are all been stored in the ROM. These all will be stored in the ROM, that is read-only memory. The instructions will be stored inside the ROM location. Okay. We need to tell, there should be a track, okay, that this line of code is being executed. Next we need to perform the next line of code. Say for example, I have a code like move a comma ash 22h, something like that. That means I need to move 22h to the accumulator. Then if I say like add a comma ash some 01h, something like this. Okay, so I need to know that this instruction needs to be executed now. Then later, once this instruction has been sent to the ALU, I should have a track that next I need to execute this instruction. So to know that in which memory location this instruction is being stored, then in which memory location this instruction is being stored, and which instruction has to be performed next, this track will be placed in the. Now if we want to access the external data, okay, then we require some register which is going to hold the address of it. Say if I'm going to connect an external ROM, okay, to access the data or to fetch the like to send the address which data has to be fetched, we require a register. That register we are going to call it as DPTR, that is data pointer. This DPTR consists of two registers. One is DPH and DPL. Okay, DPH is an 8-bit register and DPL is also an 8-bit register. Clubbed together, it's an 16-bit register, that is DPTR. DPH means data pointer high byte. DPL means data pointer low byte. That's it. Now, next, if we want to access the data from externally, we require some lines to be connected to that external RAM or ROM or anything. Okay, for that we are going to use the ports. These all the ports are having 8-bit channel. Okay. Port 0, it is of 8-bit 0 to 7. Then port 1, it is of 0 to 7, we can observe. Then port 2, 0 to 7, port 3, 0 to 7. So that 4 ports are there. 4 ports are having, each port is having 8-bit lines. Okay, so that we can say it is having 32 IO lines. That means IO lines means input or output lines. These are all bidirectional pins. It can be used as an input or it can be used as an output. These pins can be used as an input also, or these pins can be used as an output also. So we call this as 32 IO lines. One main thing is like we have seen in the last, like difference between microprocessor and microcontroller, that many pins are multifunctional pins in microcontroller. Okay, where only few pins are multifunctional in microprocessor. In microcontroller, many pins are multifunctional. That means multifunctional means this port 0 pin we can see it is been acting as input and output poles also. Same, it is going to be acting as data, like data pin to fetch the data from the external memory, which we are going to call it as D0 to D7. This port 0 can be used for fetching data from external source, which is of D0 to D7. That means these pins will act as input or output lines, and also these pins act as data lines. These pins act as data lines. It's of multifunctional, so we are going to have an latch in between it. We are having an latch in between it. Now, it's not that only the data we are going to take from the external. First, we need to intimate from which location we need to take the data. So we need to send the address first. We need to send the address first. So to send the address, we require the address lines to be connected at the port. We have 16-bit address line. So we require two different ports because each port is of 8-bit, but address it is of 16-bit. So we require minimum two ports because one port is of 8-bit. So these address lines are connected to port 0 and port 2. These address lines, you can see these address lines are connected to port 0 and it is been connected to port 2, which we can say both are of having address pins also. So port 0 act as input output port, data pins, and also address pins, which is from A0 to A7. A0 to A7, that is lower byte address. Then higher byte address is been placed in the port 2. Has been placed in the port 2, that is A to A15. A15. Then this port 1 is only an IO port. It does not have any other multifunctionality. It does not have any other multi-functionality, but port 3 is having multi-functionality. Okay. So it also acts it as an interrupt pin, external interrupt pins. Then it also has counter pins, serial data, receiving and transmitting pins, then read and write bar pins. These are all the multifunctional pins which have been available in port 3. The each and every pin details we are going to see in the next video, that is pin 8051 pin diagram. In that we are going to see what are the each pins in this and what is the purpose of it. We are going to see in the next video. Now we'll go with the next. This is not the only blocks which will been available. We have some more functions which we can say it as now. Whichever the operation has to be performed in the microcontroller, it requires the clock pulse, because whenever we need to send a data to the port or to receive the data from the port, we should maintain some synchronization. to maintain this synchronization, we require the timing, okay, or the clock pulses. That is being provided by XTAL1 and XTAL2. That is, we will be connecting an external crystal oscillator for generating the clock pulses, or else we can pass directly the external pulse for this. That's the system timing. Then we have system interrupt, reset. We could have been observed, like say if microcontroller is not working fine or something has been happened, we need to reset it, okay. Then reset button will be there. That is the highest priority interrupt. When we press the reset button, when an high signal is being provided to the reset pin, the system resets to its default value, that is special function register. All the registers will reset to its default value, and the program starts to execute from the starting. Whatever the function it may be doing, it stops everything and it starts to execute from the starting. That is the system interrupt reset. And we have few more interrupts, like 5+1 interrupts are there. We'll go through that later. Next, we have the memory control and data buffers like EA, ALE, PSEN. Each pin description of this we'll go through in the next video while we are going through pin configuration. Apart from this, in the microcontroller, we have RAM and ROM. Before going through that, okay, if you have not subscribed to our channel, click on the subscribe and also click on the bell notification to get notified for the next future videos. Apart from this, we have the RAM. Okay, this RAM, internal RAM structure is being classified into two. This register bank 0 to 3, then bit address, then general purpose area, which is going to be covered from 00 to 7F. Okay. Then SFR is going to be from 80 to FF. So for the use of us, we have only address location from 00 to 7F, which constitutes 128 bytes. Which constitutes 128 bytes. Okay. This register bank 0 to 3, bit address area, general purpose RAM, and SFR we'll see through in the RAM structure. Now we'll go with the salient features of 8051 microcontroller. Until what are the things we have been studied, from that we'll try to list it down. First thing is, like, we have seen that the ALU, then A register, B register, okay, and the ports, these are all having 8 bits. These are all having 8 bits. So we can state microcontroller is an 8-bit controller. Okay, it is an 8-bit microcontroller. Next, there itself we have seen there's a program counter which is of 16-bit. There's a program counter which is of 16-bit. Okay, one main specialty of this program counter is this: it does not have any address. Okay, we'll go through that while going through the SFR registers and all, which all the SFR register, then program counter will come under that or not. Then next, we have seen, like, for our usual usage purpose, we have the RAM where we can use it from 00 to 7F. 00 to 7F. If this 7F, that is 00 to 7F, if we are going to convert it to decimal, we will get 128 bytes. We'll get 128 bytes. That means this is in the form of hexadecimal. In the form of hexadecimal. Friends, we feel like you know about the basics of the number system. If anyone is having any confusion on that, or else you require a video on it, please drop us a comment, so that in the next future, like, we will try to cover an video on number systems. Now we'll go on with the next. Like, program counter we have seen, and we had the DPTR over there. DPTR, which is a combination of DPH and DPL, that is data pointer high and data pointer low. Each is of 8-bit. Each is of 8-bit. Okay. Then it has 32 IO pins. It has 32 IO pins. That means we have 4 port. Each port is with 8 pins. Each port is with 8 pins, which we will get 32 IO pins. So we'll get 32 IO pins. Okay. First, we are listing down what we have gone through from the block diagram. Next, if we consider, okay, it is an 8-bit stack pointer. It is an 8-bit stack pointer. Okay, this stack pointer, all those things will go through while going through the SFR registers. Okay, now you remember this. Next, it has two 16-bit timer and counter. It has two 16-bit timer and counter, and it has 5+1 interrupt sources. This 5+1 means one which we have gone through now, that is reset. Okay, and it has 3 external and 3 internal, okay, and 2 external interrupts. 3 internal and 2 external interrupts. Still, we have few more salient features of the 8051 microcontroller. While explaining those topics, I'll tell which all the things can be added over here in the salient features. Okay, we have been preparing with the theory content of this. To get those theory content link, okay, check with our social media platforms of Telegram. Okay, in the Telegram channel, we will be adding those links in the near future so that you can download the theory content of these things. So friends, this is the end of the video. If you have enjoyed the learning, click on the like button, share with your friends and well-wishers, connect with our social media for updates and to learn more topics related to electrical and electronics. Thanks for watching. We'll continue our journey of learning in the next video.